Hi everyone, I'm finally getting to making this Ariana Grande, Cynthia Erivo, is that her name, relationship tarot video. My apologies that it's taken forever. I just frankly haven't wanted to do it. These videos take me a long time, and sometimes I just get tired of talking at my camera about things that don't really matter in the scheme of things. Yeah, so that's a pretty downer. It's a pretty downer intro for what is surely going to be a banger tarot reading. So without further ado, we're going to do the card draw and then we're going to do the reading. So bear with me. All right, this reading is for Cynthia and Ariana Grande. This reading is for Cynthia and Ariana. This reading is for Cynthia and Ariana. Tell me about their relationship. This reading is for Cynthia and Ariana. This reading is for Cynthia and Ariana. This reading is for Cynthia and Ariana. Okay, so this is coming across a little interestingly in like 3 different piles instead of one story. So like let's read it as 3 separate piles and then see what the overall picture is. Yeah, so let's keep you as that, and that's gonna stay that way, and that way, and that way. Okay, so I have the Knight of Pentacles, the World, the Eight of Wands, the Lovers, Strength, and the Two of Cups. Now, obviously I have some preconceived notions about this situation just based on some clips I've seen of their body language during interviews. And I feel that potentially there is some bonding through trauma that has happened and some supportive behavior going on that is potentially damaging for them as people, like emotionally and potentially physically. So I think that it's not going to be good, whatever is going on here. Now, the Knight of Pentacles is generally overall a pretty great card. Feeling like you've got a lot of hard work and production going on. When it's in reverse, though, it's more of the negative traits of the hard work and responsibility aspect. Like, we're not seeing the dedication to hard work as in like, it's easy for you to remain dedicated and you're interested in doing the hard work and you know that it's going to pay off. It's more of like, a repetitive skill building that doesn't need to be built anymore because you already have the skill, but you're like really caught up in making sure that it's like absolutely perfect every single time, which can be, of course, detrimental to the way things are going. So like I definitely am feeling the perfectionism thing, and I'm definitely feeling the self-discipline thing. I want to just look at the pause has been long. So essentially, the project has gone on too long. The project has gone on too long, and the repetition of the project has gone on too long. And like, I literally mean about work. But it seems like the part of the project that the two of them enjoyed the most was like being together on the set. Like a kinship. Like both of them felt very capable of doing the work and producing a quality show, a good show, excellent vocals, etc. But the routine of it all became too much hard work, too much discipline, and like it's more like they had to weather a storm through a storm. Does that make sense? Like there was too much going on to begin with, and now we're seeing like you have made it through the storm, but the weathering of the storm has caused an issue in and of itself. So like in the Eight of Wands, fast pace, change, action, alignment, and I feel like the change of like going from one place where you're doing it every single day and then the production ends and it's sort of like, what are you actually gonna do with yourself? And I feel like some of the like in the beginning things were all just like work. That's created a lot of opportunity for them where so like where the complete focus, action, and dedication of the job, but the repetition of the job, and then being able to use all of that momentum to continue to align yourself with like projects that you want to see. And I also feel like maybe what's happening is that like without Cynthia, the production wouldn't have been valued, and without Ariana, the production wouldn't have been valued. But the two of them together has given such an intense, palpable attraction from the audience, but then to each other, where like their talent is being recognized and there is a kinship that's being built between them that goes not only from recognizing what it means to be a talented actress and singer, but what it also means to be together, forming a relationship inside and out of production. So that's what the Knight of Pentacles and the Eight of Wands, it's more like action is taking place. I do feel like the Strength card showing up is really a situation where the two of them are acutely aware of how they're feeling. Like they're almost cut from the same cloth, and I sort of mean that in like the way that they're both overly sensitive, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but like completely sensitive and emotional, and like have the sensitivity, I just keep saying the word sensitive over and over again, good a thesaurus, Angelina, that allows them to tap into what it means to be an actor or actress, right? Depth of feeling, creativity, and the ability to express, and like losing yourself in that expression. And so I wonder if part of this struggle that we're seeing and like the support and what could be read as potentially fear that the production is over is more about the loss of identity that happens when you've been so enmeshed in a character, in a world, in a reality that isn't real for years on end, and then having that taken away from you. Like, you always knew that the production was ending, but like now it's really over. So the relationships that you built to the character, the relationship that you built to the set, to the story, to the fairy tale that you were wrapped in, and then the relationships that you've built with the people, like something that you've had every day for years is now just being like turned off. So I would say that's probably like a whirlwind of emotions, probably. So probably when, let me just look at something. Yeah, I mean, I just imagine them like giggling on set and like having inside jokes and like being really like girlfriends. Like this is like my ride or die girlfriend. We go on adventures together. This is someone I love having with me. We want to go on trips together, even if it's just as simple as going to the grocery store, etc., etc. And there's something about that that really like gives them a spark of being, like, for sure gives them a spark to be like, woo, a spark. And I feel like within that connection there is its own that's funny, you've just been in there from the last time I did this reading. That's so funny. That has kept them going back to each other over and over again. Like, there's just something about their connection that feels very genuine and compassionate, and like they bring out the best in each other. Not to get all woo-woo, but there's a potential that these two people have known each other from a different life, and that their relationship and their performance as actors was enhanced by that general comfortability that they have together, which I think is a really interesting concept. And the reason that I'm saying that is because of the world in reversed, and some of the things that you would think about in the world reversed is seeking personal closure. And that really stands out to me. Seeking personal closure on an issue, okay? Being emotionally attached to a past relationship and wanting to move on, or you dream one day that you can fit into your old jeans, but you realize now that your metabolism has changed your body. You know that to accept and embrace where you are now, and you need to let go and move on from the past. So, I mean, that can be like two things, right? It could be literally the production, or it could be literally this relationship. Like, if we think about people that come and go in our lives, like, they all teach us something about ourselves, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. And if you really want to like zoom out from that, all lessons that you learn are good in the end because it taught you a thing, even if going through the lesson was shitty at the time. So we don't know what's going on like behind the scenes. We just know that there is something beyond what we're seeing on screen that gives them the depth of emotion, sensitivity, compassion, creativity, longing, and desire to be with each other that is, to me, very otherworldly. And people that we have been with in the past and that we're reincarnated with have a special sort of magnetism to them that other people do not have. And whether or not that ends up being a good thing or a bad thing for us really depends on who we are in this lifetime and what our lessons are and what we need to develop in this lifetime, like what we came here to develop and understand and learn in this lifetime, right? So I think that that is a flag. Don't know if it's red or green, in that we don't know what their lessons are. There's something about this attraction that made it really palpable, but is it going to be successful for them outside of the production, right? Is this actually going to help them close out things? Like, are they going to learn the lesson that they need to learn? Is there going to be something more for them to do together? Is it a sensation where like they are afraid that now that this is over, like things will never be the same between them? Is there a sense of loss? Like, that's a really interesting concept for me personally to think about in reference to the rest of these cards, because we also have the Lovers and Reverse, and that is about disharmony and misalignment. And if it's also about a path, you know, because it's a 2 and like mostly 2s are about paths, and we have like multiple things with 2s. We have the Lovers, and then we also have the 2 of Cups in reverse, which is also about meeting somebody that is potentially going to change our lives, but it's in reverse. That really makes me think that like the relationship overall is like not for the benefit of both of them, because there's a certain undercurrent of toxicity that is not intentional, but it is like they're supporting behaviors that they have that will be a detriment to them in the future. So I am thinking that things need to end, because when they're together, they're true to their darkest parts, and they're not able to emphasize their lightest parts. And having friendships that support your darkest parts can be beneficial for the lesson, which is what I'm thinking this World in Reverse card is referencing. However, personally, in the way that I'm interpreting this, it feels like there's a timestamp on that. After X date, X time in your life, that stamp, you're done. You've heard it, you've learned it, you understand it, and you need to move forward. But the connection that they've built during this production, that's really what's going to stop them from being able to disband, and like recognizing that they're enabling each other to be people that are not for the love and protection of their own safety and sanity. And so I'm just a little wary of that, and I feel like it has to do with like giving in to what you know isn't necessarily great for you, but you're yes-anding that behavior anyway because you want to experience this person, you want to be with this person, you want to hear this person, you want to feel this person. And you're so used to that dynamic that you don't really know who you're going to be or how you're going to exist in life without them being there. And I think that goes back to a lot of what I was saying about you had the structure of the production with the people and the existence and the fairy tale, and now that's gone. And I think the same thing is being mirrored with her relationship with Cynthia. So I would love to see them both honoring themselves and recognizing, doing like that thing where you write down on a piece of paper what your values are and what you value in relationships, and if this person aligns with those values, and if not, do you really want them in your life? Right? Cause not great. This is just more about disharmony and dissatisfaction and breaking up and mistrust and distrust. And I think that something is going on. Like, something is going on in that we are seeing them fracture, but we don't actually know what the fracture is. And I don't, Is it... I mean, I don't think it has to do with any, like, jealousy or potential dissonance, like, between their vision of their career and, like, what they're going to get out of life, but, like, it has to do with them. And I really feel like it does have to do with their bodies and their emotions and their mental health and their ability to feel and process emotions. And, like, if they both became famous pretty young, what sort of internal resourcing did they have that will allow them to sort of, like, alchemize the fame and the eyes on them? And, like, I can't imagine what it feels like to have all those people thinking about you and feeling for you and desiring a life for you and, like, being like, oh, Ariana should have done this, oh, Cynthia should have done this, oh, I can't believe she looks like this, X, Y, and Z. And, like, how even though you might not hear those things or see those things being written, you still feel them energetically. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know if it's like a comparative nature where they want to be like one another, or if it is a lack of evolution that they're dealing with because they know each other. And, like, the sheltered nature of being in this production for so long has allowed this maladaptive relationship to fester for so long that they don't know how to function outside of the maladaptive relationship. And the concept of removing themselves from that is, like, so damaging and heartbreaking that they're not going to be comfortable enough to pull the plug on its own. So I want to get into this next pile, which looks like it's all about the emotional state between them. I have the Hierophant, the Four of Pentacles in reverse, the Five of Cups, the Nine of Swords in reverse, the Seven of Swords, and then the Seven of Cups. I think right off the bat, there's secrets being kept, there's opportunities that exist for the both of them and for each of them individually. And I don't know if there are enough honest conversations going on between what they want inside the relationship between the two of them and what they want out of Hollywood. So I want to focus on... Okay, so the Hierophant and the Lover's card are connected in this reading. When we think of the Hierophant, this dude is all about learning, cultivating wisdom, sometimes from an individual, sometimes religious, in nature, developing a following, sometimes learning wisdom, being able to conform, basically, like, in a positive way, the cult of you and how you interact with all of these things. Now, the song I Want to Break Free by Queen has entered my mind, and I think that, as an aside, just this quick little rant, I started doing these because I'm very curious about celebrity and how celebrity and fame and the age in which you get that fame and how it has impacted the way that you spiritually evolve is going to come out in your reading. And, like, if we're going to see, the more readings I do, a similar set of issues with each one of these celebrities that I do a reading with. Do I remember anything that I said about Ariana Grande's reading? Not specifically, except for maybe that I felt like she was potentially in like danger for some reason. In reference to the Hierophant and the lovers being connected, if we're talking about spiritual starvation and we're looking for a place to reimagine the self and find the self and find wisdom through devoting yourself to spiritual evolution in order to find your highest good, I feel like this is where some of the riff and dissatisfaction between these two people is coming in. So in reference to the lovers and the disharmony that we're finding by this card being in reverse, maybe like conversations aren't being had, true intentions aren't being put up, we have this other current, they're both birds, LOL, of the Hierophant coming in being like, bruv, I've been waiting here on the back burner. You know that there's something coming. There's like an inkling of like change and desire that you're interested in. But you're not sure if your relationship is going to withstand the desire and drive and frankly need of you working on your spiritual evolution. So I am concerned. Okay. I'm concerned that this is playing out in two ways between them. Things have become rigid and rudimentary with them. And they're basically on a routine now where it's like, this is what we're doing together. This is how we exist together. These are the things that we do. And in order to break free from that, we need to imbibe it with something else. So the search for the self and the desire to become something different is what's peeking through. Who's going to be the teacher? Who wants to step out and find? I don't know, but someone is not necessarily interested in continuing this, and someone is looking for something more. Treachery, deceit, disharmony, dismay, askew, disaster, unintentional feelings being hurt, truth coming out that wasn't intended to be taken that way. It's all coming to a point, like the emotional upset that either one or both of these individuals are feeling in this relationship, especially now that production has ended, is a lot more heightened right now. Like, think of the rigid production, the long days, the structure of production being like a fluffy pink cloud that has protected and cushioned the relationship, given them purpose and meaning and desire, and allowed them to be together in a way that was very intimate and comfortable. But without that, there isn't any structure to the relationship, because it's almost like the production was the relationship, and it's going to be very hard to translate from one thing to the next. And maybe that's part of what the Hierophant is here to teach. But I think that there's something that could be explored. Like, if they wanted to work through this, unless there is that timestamp I was talking about, where like this is the expiration of the relationship and you can either try to just linger on in it or you can go ahead and let it go. This aspect of like evolution could be worked on together, but I think that they're like so in their groove of like what of their poor evolutionary decisions, like emotionally, enlightenment wise, that they've upheld for each other. I don't know if there's room to bring spirituality into that. Like, someone has to step out and be like, bro, I'm going to be the one to do the healing. And I don't think that they can share that together. Like, I really don't. There's something that's blocking them from being able to take their relationship to the next level. And I think that there is like a wall, like a genuine wall, that is preventing them from going further. And like, is it because their past life relationship, like, it ended at this time? Yes. That's an interesting concept. Is that what the thoughts are about? Because I feel like potentially, if we're gonna say that, and then we're gonna, just bear with me, I'm having a thought process. And then, yes, but then, okay, so the Four of Pentacles and the Seven of Swords and the Nine of Swords are all connected. Okay. So typically the Four of Pentacles is about preservation of wealth. And that preservation of wealth can go really far into greed if we're not careful, where like we definitely have the money, but we've decided that like we don't want to spend it. We're saving for the future, but that future never comes, and you're just like amassing this pile of wealth. But like you're seeing that those walls, you're seeing that keeping things close to the chest is impacting like other areas of your life, right? So think of the word possession, okay? Think of what it means to keep, to have, right? It is a possession. You possess it, okay? And then what the term possession like means, okay? Like zoom out from the word possession. If we're looking at this as a person, and not as an object like material wealth, I'm getting the impression that one or both of these individuals, and I feel like somebody has a secret, feels that they like secretly possess this person. Not even like is trying to possess them like demonically and like trying to become that person. But that they want to keep them, hold them, have them as a possession. Sort of like codependency goes off the rails, you know? It's like you don't know who you're going to be or how you're going to act if you don't have this situation where you're enabling someone, or a situation where you're betraying yourself, etc., etc. So that is like one concept that I'm going off of when it comes to the to the Four of Pentacles, right? And then when we have the Seven of Swords, we got this secret little sword in the background, betrayal, deception, getting away with something, acting strategically. And then we have the Nine of Swords in reversed, okay, which is inner turmoil, deep-seated fears, secrets, and releasing worry. I am concerned about the parallels that all of these things are bringing to mind. Is there a secret? Like, what is the fear? Is it a fear of loss? Oh, excuse me. Is it a fear of loss of the relationship, of the entity and possession that is the relationship, that is the person in the relationship, the clout that the relationship may come with, or the feelings that possess you when you're with them? Like, for some reason, the material possessions are not what is coming through, but it's the mental possessions of the relationship. It's the clout that it gives them. It's the comfort that it gives them. It's the emotional, like, I don't know if it's like triangulation, or like the cycle that it goes through, or like it's just like really tight and suffocating. And I think that there's like a lack of communication that's going on. Like, I want to bring this up again, and I want to bring this up again, where they are not being true to themselves. So if someone is acting strategically, it's more of in a way to continue to possess this person, to have them and keep them and have them close, and to continue to experiencing the relationship, whether or not it's for the detriment of that person, right? So that's not great, because there's a level of deception, and that's where I think like mistrust is coming in. Like, for whatever reason, whether or not the other person has clocked it, like there's a level of mistrust that's going on because there's something that's not being communicated in the like undercurrent of the relationship, and it can be felt in the interactions. Like it's a desperation of like continuing to need to have the possession of this relationship. So it is causing fear and worry. And like for one person, it's like, this has been weird. Am I like making this up, or like, is there this very desperate sensation going on? And probably for the other person, they're like, I hope they don't notice that I've been super desperate and like I have been trying to hold them and keep them cloistered and etc. etc. And it's creating this really bizarre dynamic in them where like they're unable to release themselves from the pattern that they've created, and like essentially it feels like we're looking to have them like break free from this reality that they have both built and been subjected to because of the production. So how will this end? I don't think it will end well. I think that something is eating away at both of them, and it can be seen in the vibe. Like not even like the way that they talk or how they act with each other, but you know how like you go into a room and like you can just experience the vibe of the people that are in there. Like it's within the vibe. Like it's strained, but it's steady. And that sounds really uncomfortable, and I would be feeling really like I would have trauma. Like it reminds me of the feeling of trauma when I describe trauma, and how trauma has made me feel like that is exactly what it is. Like you're experiencing a sensation, you're experiencing a vibe, you're experiencing a situation, you're experiencing a person, and even if that person isn't right for you, you are there for the vibe that is steady but uncomfortable. And this sounds not good. Water time. Okay, so now we've got, excuse me, left from this pile, we have the Five of Cups and the Seven of Pentacles. So I think that there is a potential that there's a way out of this, and that someone will eventually wise up. There is a feeling of disappointment and pessimism that is like a wash over the relationship, like I was just explaining with the steady growth of like uncomfortable vibe. And it's extremely palpable. And a lot of these card combinations are like, they're gonna break up. They're breaking up. Things are coming to an end. And I wonder where they are in that place of destruction. Like, if we're seeing that there's just like disappointment and failure, then there's like no hope. There's no hope between them. And I also feel like there's a vibe where there's like no hope for the future. Like they feel as if this relationship ends, like it's over for them because this is all they've known for a while. I don't know if because of the production they've been involved that they were able to nurture and build other relationships that would keep them feeling steady and alive and evolved and fulfilled and enlightened. And I think that's, you know, part of the big issue. So when I'm seeing the Seven of Cups, right, it's usually about a decision that we're making, having opportunities, choices, potentially illusions. But I definitely feel like that means that you have the capacity to create your own reality. So what am I thinking? I'm thinking that this is like two cycles of how the Seven of Cups is showing up in their relationship. Like there's a sunrise and sunset to every relationship, and like in the between times we're like experiencing the day, right? So I think that during the sunrise of this relationship, we've seen a lot of quality time, choices that have impacted their overall reality and vibe together. And then like as the sun has started to set on their relationship, there is the time in which you're still in those rose-colored glasses, probably thinking things like, I don't know if I'm interpreting this correctly. Is this what it seems to be? Am I actually experiencing this reality? And then like continuing to project what you want from the person and what you see the relationship as onto the situation. And then we have to come to a point where there's like a reckoning and recognition to the situation that you're actually involved in. So then we have a point where there's going to be shown an opportunity, and the opportunity will be like, okay, so now you have the choice to end the relationship and start on your healing, or continue in the relationship and allow this to fester and this be your reality. So what do you want to do? Do you have the capacity to decide that you want your world to be different? And I would imagine that a lot of these situations, in the treachery and deceit, the thoughts, the disappointment is about the feeling of guilt and self-preservation that comes to the decision of ending the relationship, and also like the immense heavy sensation of like what the loss will be like when things finally do fall apart. And I want to talk about the Hierophant again, and in reference to it being more like your own self-fulfillment, and thinking about it in reference to deciding who you want to be through the lessons that you're learning. Like you have the capacity to take this key and fit it into this beautiful wooden heavy door that will unlock the key to your future and your success, your betterment, your self-evolution. But are you actually willing to allow yourself the time to study and understand yourself, whether that be spiritually or emotionally, to get to the door in the first place? And I feel like right now there's just an inkling happening, but there will come a time when like we have to see the resolution. We have to see like not the resolution, well, I lost that in my mind. Okay, so let's move on to this third pile. Ah, yes. Okay, so this third pile is what's going to happen when choices are made. Okay. So I have the Nine of Cups, the Eight of Cups in reverse, the Eight of Swords in reverse, the Ace of Pentacles in reverse, the Ace of Cups in reverse, and the Queen of Wands in reverse. Now, I want to start with the Queen of Wands because she's a bad bitch and she's one of my faves. So, yes, so what the fuck are we dealing with here? Okay, so we're looking for someone to have the fucking balls to make a decision and say, I no longer want to be involved in this relationship with you. This isn't going well for me. Like the struggle that I feel with you, the pattern that we're repeating, the way that we're supporting each other is actually super toxic, and I need something different. Like I really appreciate you for what you gave me during the time that I needed you in my life, but like now I realize this isn't healthy for me. This is where it says fucking mother. This is where the Queen of Wands is really implemented, into the situation, because she is delivering self-respect, compassion, self-confidence, and being able to re-establish your sense of self. So my conception of this relationship is that the two of them were so close and combined as one person that they've really just been like living as each other. Okay, and there's really been, I'm so serious about this, there's really been this level of unintentional toxicity where they've brought out their most deepest, darkest insecurities, and they've just been living in this nightmare realm of like terror and fear with one another about like what their reality looks like when they're together. And it's like this vibe, this situation that like is not true, okay? It is just a reality, an illusion, if I can go back to that concept, that they have created with one another. However, that is all going to change when they make the decision to separate. And it will be when somebody realizes that they value themselves more than they value the relationship. And so that's again where the Hierophant is coming back into, is learning to trust the messages that you're receiving, really desiring to build in the religious aspect of your life, whether it be from going to like church, or reading some books, or discovering new age, woo-woo spirituality, like whatever it is, so that you can begin to release a lot of this, I don't know, like it's a lot of like pent up childhood emotions and like self-resourcing and feeling like you're afraid to be independent and like not necessarily being able to have the capacity to be independent because of the lifestyle that you have because you're famous. It's like a lot of different aspects on the wheel, but like there is a capacity to use your self-dedication in order to create a new life for yourself. So next I want to talk about the Ace of Cups, because, you know, good things happen to those who have the Ace of Cups in their reading. So self-love, intuition, and repressed emotions is what the Ace of Cups means in dessert. Hell yeah, we all love dessert. In reverse. So yeah, I mean, just like, again, we're reaching this turning point where this individual, and I feel like it's gonna be Ariana, is gonna say, I'm no longer interested in this. Because there's a desire for all of this new and better life outside of this relationship, and the aspect of self-love is really what's going to be like, again, shining and radiating. I think that there's a potential for like not necessarily like literally a breakdown, but like a breakdown of the self, where there's a recognition that like I have to rebuild myself from the ground up, and like I can't have this kind of person in my life anymore, unfortunately. And that's just what's going to happen. And I think that'll be a pretty positive thing for her, for both of them, honestly. I'm not really getting that much information about Cynthia, but more like the way that Cynthia and Ariana's relationship has impacted the whole vibe. So I do think that there is a potential that their relationship in like the film industry, or like Broadway, for example, their decision to no longer like speak to each other could make things rocky in reference to like doing projects in the future. And I wonder if that means that they're either both going to have to take time off in general, or that they're going to have to take time away from each other and not be able to do projects together, which will lead to lost opportunities. But I really do think it's going to be like, this person has decided the relationship is over, they're going to take time off, they already have all the money in the fucking world anyways, so like it doesn't really matter if they're not at work right now. And those lost opportunities are more going to be like, oh, okay, so I had to take time off from acting or singing, and because of that I don't have as many opportunities when I come back to it. But I don't think that that's going to necessarily be a bad thing. And then Let's talk about the Eight of Cups in reverse. You just talk for so long, you know? So I definitely for sure have not been showing you these cards. So Eight of Cups in reverse. I think the push-pull dynamic between them is really pretty strong, and there's a potential that like trying to break things off isn't going to go very well the first couple of times because the pull of them is so strong, but I think that like overall it will be a successful time when they're able to go for it. Because like the like aimlessness, or that's not really a great way to put it, but like the way that they eventually recognize that they don't feel the way that they want to feel together is going to be like pulling at their heartstrings to the extent that they decide that they need to break it off. So I think that there will be like a sense of there I was drifting way out into the sunrise, expecting to touch, but there I was. Anyway, Drifting by Linda Perry, anyone? Okay, so that's what I'm imagining. Drifting by Linda Perry. Pretty sad, honestly, really sad. I'm getting a lot of sad vibes right now. I think that there's going to be like a really intense loss of identity when they end up disbanding their relationship, and the way that they have to rebuild themselves. And it's not even okay, so let me explain it. Let me explain this. It's not even that Cynthia is specifically a problem or that Ariana is specifically a problem. It's the overall pattern of what their lives have given them so far, right? So the more you're involved in fame, like I think about this in reference to Leonardo DiCaprio, like he became famous so young, and like if you watch his movies, like I just watched The Wolf of Wall Street and I was like, holy Jesus, like no one can give an impassioned speech like Leonardo DiCaprio pretending to be Jordan Belfort, like holy shit. But then I was thinking, like, is he anyone, or is he just an amalgamation of all the characters he ever played? And that's what I mean about loss of identity. That's what I mean about loss of self. So throughout time, the way that the projection of society, the way that the projection of these parts has operated, the way that the projection of their relationship has worked together has created a false sense of identity. And their relationship together is part of the way that that false sense of identity has intermingled, right? And that they might not even truly be friends, but it's the circumstances in which they became friends that continue to make the friendship work, right? So it's Hollywood, it's society, it's the projection of their relationship, it's the projection of all those things together that has created this relationship. And all of those things together has given an overarching sense of loss of identity. So to take them out of this production, to take them away from this relationship, to take them and put them in a timeout to where they're not necessarily involved in Hollywood or any production for some time in order to recover from the situation, that's where I feel like this sense of dismay and loss of identity and needing to rebuild from the foundation up. And like when I mean from the foundation up, I mean like the sense of identity that you have in your core, the sense of stability that you have in your core. Like, is life going to be okay? Am I capable of making good decisions? Do I have self-resourcing? Do I trust my emotions? Am I able to see my intuition? Do I believe in love? Do I believe in myself? And do I have the willpower? Do I have the fire to make it, to keep going? Like all of those things have to be rebuilt because there is a false sense of self that goes into this success, that goes into this relationship, that goes into the way that Hollywood has projected this situation onto them. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's talk about the Eight of Swords. So the Eight of Swords, we got this chrysalis and the swords are all pointing at it, and it's not great because no one wants to be having swords pointed at you. So self-limiting beliefs, an inner critic, releasing negative thoughts, being open to new perspective. Oh my gosh, if that is not If that is not just like just a perfect way to describe the vision that I'm seeing for the entirety of this relationship, is that they have been together, enhancing the way that they think and feel about themselves, bringing out the best and the worst, but mostly their worst, deepest aspects of their lives, to the extent that they're caught in this pattern, they're caught in this loop. This is going to be a process where they were stuck in that situation, really allowing those things to come up, those feelings to come up, those negative things to just feed and feed and feed on them. And now they're trying to strip that all away. It's like an addiction though. Like, you get addicted to the worry, you get addicted to the hormones that it takes to be like worrying and stressed. And we're trying to strip that all the way at once, and it's going to be incredibly disorienting. And the time that it takes to heal is where that Hierophant comes in. The time that it takes to understand what you need is where the process of rediscovering your self-respect and self-love is going to be. And then you're going to have to identify and examine what those limiting beliefs are, what that inner critic is, and then work on releasing those patterns, developing that emotional resourcing, and then rebuilding yourself once you've become open to the new perspectives that is life without this person and the structure that Hollywood and other people have projected upon you. And that, my friends, takes us all the way back to the Nine of Cups, which is a lovely card. And the Nine of Cups is me just, flipping through my tarot book as you do. Contentment, satisfaction, gratitude, and a wish come true. I mean, like, we really couldn't have ended in a better place, because this to me really speaks for like the hard work and dedication that's going to come through having to strip yourself away from this relationship and then rebuild the relationship with yourself. And both of them are going to have a lot of work to do in reference to this. And I can't imagine how heartbreaking and difficult it's going to be to have to break up with this person that has been your best friend for a little while in order to rebuild yourself. And it's not going to be easy, and I think it's going to be very difficult for them to stay away from each other, particularly because of that aspect of addiction when it comes to being addicted to the pattern that you've created together and the sensationalism that there is in reference to being caught up in a stressful situation. So that is what's happening. Yeah, cool. So that's my reading for Ariana and Cynthia. If you like this video, please interact in some way. It really helps my channel, and it helps get these videos out to other human people who might want to view them. Would love a sub, would love to see you again. I do these videos, but I don't do them a lot. I have a lot to offer as far as metaphysical woo-woo shit. I like to talk about dead people, I like to talk about dreams, I like to talk about TV. I kind of like to talk about whatever the fuck I want. And so that's what I can offer you at this channel. A community of whatever the fuck I want, and I hope you'll be involved. Okay, bye!